Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into something pretty big today, um, harnessing the potential of Africa's youth population through international partnerships.
Especially in education.
Yeah, education is key.
We're focusing on the Going Global Africa 2024 conference,
Okay,
held in Abuja, Nigeria, last week,
gotcha.
bringing together some major players from the UK and Africa.
Yeah, sounds like a good mix.
And I got to tell you, some of the insights coming out of this conference are really something.
Oh yeah, like what?
It's not just about regional development.
Okay.
It's about a global shift in demographics and economic power.
I mean, yeah, the future really does belong to
Balance.
those who can successfully educate and empower their youth.
And when we talk about a youth population
Right.
in Africa, we're talking big numbers.
Yeah, how big?
Richard Montgomery,
Hmm.
the UK's High Commissioner to Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
He shared a stat that really stopped me in my tracks. 70%
70%.
of Africa's population is under 30.
Wow. That's a massive pool of talent and energy just waiting to be tapped.
It really feeds into this idea of the demographic dividend.
Okay, so break that down for me.
Sure, so we know a large young workforce can propel rapid economic growth.
Makes sense.
But that potential hinges on something crucial: a robust tertiary education system.
And that's where things get interesting.
That's where the discussion at the conference got really interesting.
Because it's not as simple as saying,
Right.
hey, we have a lot of young people, instant economic boom.
No, not quite.
Dr. Olatunji Alasa,
Okay,
Nigeria's Minister of Education,
got it.
he brought up some hard realities.
Like what?
Universities are grappling with financial hurdles.
Makes sense. There's a lot of factors there.
Think limited access to student loans, sky-high tuition fees, and of course, the need for better infrastructure to accommodate this huge wave of students.
Yeah, you need the actual buildings first.
Exactly.
But, Dr. Lassa didn't just focus on the problems.
That's good.
He emphasized that the Nigerian government is actively working on solutions.
Okay, so they're not just sitting back.
Not at all.
And they're finding a willing partner in the UK.
That's right. It's not just the UK observing from afar.
So they're getting involved.
Very much so, Sir Steve Smith.
Yeah.
The UK's international education champion was practically buzzing with enthusiasm
Oh, yeah.
about this huge appetite among UK institutions
Okay.
to partner with their African counterparts.
I like it.
And it wasn't just talk.
It was better.
He actually led a delegation to Abuja and Lagos after the conference,
Oh.
specifically to explore these partnerships.
Okay, so concrete action. I like it.
Yeah.
But let's dig into this idea of equitable UK-Africa partnerships a little bit.
Yeah.
That phrase kept coming up.
I can see why.
What does equitable really mean in this context?
That's the million-dollar question. We know historically
What?
partnerships between developed and developing nations haven't always been the most balanced.
Yeah.
This time around, there's a real emphasis on listening to African voices, making sure these collaborations benefit both sides.
So less about imposing solutions and more about working together.
That's the idea.
But how do we ensure these partnerships avoid replicating those old power dynamics?
Well, that's what's so fascinating about the conversations happening right now. There's a recognition that true progress means shared ownership, moving away from that old donor-recipient model.
Which makes me think about the types of partnerships being explored.
Right.
Is it all about traditional universities, or is there something more innovative brewing?
Oh, it's definitely not just about those traditional brick-and-mortar universities.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk about a more holistic approach
Interesting.
involving businesses, NGOs, even cultural organizations.
I see. So it's about more than just academics.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about preparing these young people for the real world.
Right, not just giving them degrees.
Exactly. Equipping them with those skills they need to really thrive.
In a rapidly changing economy.
That's it. Think about it. UK tech companies collaborating with African universities to develop some cutting-edge digital skills programs.
Or cultural exchange programs that spark creativity and innovation.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of partnerships that can really make a difference.
And it's not just a one-way street, right? We're not just talking about transferring knowledge from the UK to Africa.
Definitely not. There's already incredible expertise and innovation happening in Africa.
Totally.
One of the speakers,
Okay.
Dr. Mo Ibrahim, founder of Siltel International,
Okay.
he really drove this point home, he said.
Yeah.
And I quote, We don't need handouts. We need partners who respect our capabilities and are willing to learn from us as much as they teach.
Wow, that's powerful.
It really is.
It highlights the need for a real paradigm shift
Absolutely.
in how we think about these collaborations.
It's about recognizing the agency and the potential of
Yeah.
African institutions and individuals.
Not seeing them as passive recipients.
Right, but as active co-creators of solutions.
Okay, so we've got these exciting ideas for equitable partnerships.
Yeah.
This move towards a more holistic approach.
And a real focus on mutual learning and respect.
Absolutely.
But how do we translate all of this into tangible action?
That's the big question.
How do we ensure these partnerships are sustainable and actually deliver on their promises?
That's the crux of it, isn't it? And the conference didn't shy away from those tough questions.
Good.
A recurring theme was the need for transparency and accountability.
Okay, so no more vague promises or deals made behind closed doors.
Exactly. Partnerships need to be built on a foundation of clear agreements, shared goals,
Okay.
and most importantly, mechanisms for monitoring progress.
So we can actually track how things are going.
And it's not just about financial accountability either.
Oh, right.
It's about ensuring that those benefits are shared fairly,
Making sure everyone benefits.
that we're truly living up to the equitable part of the equation.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What else stood out in terms of making these partnerships work?
Well, flexibility and adaptability were also highlighted.
Yeah.
We can't forget that Africa is incredibly diverse. Different countries, even different regions within countries,
Yeah.
they face unique challenges and opportunities.
So one solution won't work for everyone.
A one-size-fits-all approach just won't cut it.
So tailoring partnerships to the specific context is crucial.
Absolutely.
But that also sounds incredibly complex.
It can be,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely essential. It's about striking that balance between having a clear framework and being able to adapt on the fly,
Okay.
responding to evolving needs and priorities.
I can see that.
And I think that's where technology can play a really transformative role.
You mean like using digital tools to bridge those geographical gaps?
Yeah.
And facilitate collaboration?
Exactly. Think about virtual classrooms connecting students across continents, or online platforms that allow for real-time monitoring and evaluation of projects.
So we're not just talking about traditional partnerships,
Right.
but leveraging the power of technology to amplify their impact.
And democratize access to education and resources. Think about reaching those remote communities that might otherwise be excluded.
Yeah.
There's a huge potential there.
This is all incredibly inspiring, but as we're talking, I keep circling back to this question of sustainability.
I understand.
How do we move beyond these short-term projects
Right.
and create partnerships that have lasting impact,
Yeah.
that truly empower future generations?
Yeah. It's a question with no easy answers.
Yeah.
But there are valuable lessons to be learned from both successes and failures of past collaborations.
So where do we even begin to unpack something this complex?
Well, one key takeaway from the conference was this idea of moving beyond simply replicating Western models of education in Africa.
Yeah.
It's about understanding and valuing the diverse knowledge systems and pedagogical approaches that already exist within African cultures.
So rather than imposing a predefined framework, we need to create space for African voices
Exactly.
to shape the agenda.
Precisely, Professor Toyin Falola,
Okay,
a renowned Nigerian historian.
gotcha.
He made a compelling argument for what he called decolonizing knowledge. Interesting. He challenged the audience to really question, whose perspectives have traditionally dominated academic discourse.
Yeah.
And to embrace a more inclusive and pluralistic approach to knowledge creation.
Which really resonates with that whole emphasis on equitable partnerships.
Exactly.
It's about acknowledging the inherent value of African knowledge systems
Right.
and creating a genuine dialogue.
Absolutely not just a one-way flow of information.
And that dialogue needs to extend beyond the academic sphere.
Of course.
Engaging communities, traditional leaders,
Yeah.
and local stakeholders is crucial
It is.
to ensure that those educational initiatives are truly relevant
Right.
and responsive to the needs on the ground.
Couldn't agree more.
Which brings us back to you, the listener,
Yeah.
as you reflect on this deep dive. We encourage you to consider those innovative approaches
Absolutely.
that could ensure these partnerships are truly transformative.
What kind of collaborations could foster entrepreneurship, bridge the digital divide,
Yeah.
and empower those young people to create solutions for their own communities?
Such a crucial question. And how can we as individuals contribute to this global effort.
Whether it's supporting organizations,
Right.
working on the ground,
Engaging in these discussions.
or simply staying informed about those challenges and opportunities.
Facing Africa's youth.
We all have a role to play in shaping a brighter future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into international partnerships for Africa's youth. We hope it sparked your curiosity and inspired you to learn more about this incredibly important topic.